Welcome to our meditation time. I invite you just to allow yourself just to settle and just savor this present moment. Just breathing in and feeling the freedom of being allowed, and by giving yourself permission to just stop all the busyness, to stop the doing, and truly savor this present moment by just being. I know sometimes we show up because there's an alarm or a reminder. And so whatever it takes to make it happen, once you get there and you're still and your eyes are closed and you're settling into your breath, see if you can just savor the present moment. It'd be wonderful if we could do this in all parts of our life, but it's so busy. And we're so rushed and we're so distracted, but right here, notice it. Notice the present moment. See how beautiful it is and how lucky we are to be a part of it. And so just begin to find a good rhythm of breath, just a slow in breath and a slow out breath, and really finding one that nurtures what you need today. And if at any point through these few minutes that we share that your mind starts to wander or you hear a noise and it distracts you, come back to the breath. Just that gentle pace of the in and the out, and let it guide you back to the present moment. And so we are on a journey of sitting with the idea of purpose. It's a translation of a word we have in Sanskrit of dharma. We often talk about this universal dharma of all humanity, and then there's the dharma, the purpose of each of us. What is our contribution to the world? Our contribution in the full scope of our life, our contribution in the season of life that we're each in right now, our contribution in our workplace, in the structure of what our family looks and feels like right now. There's so many angles with which we can really look at this idea of purpose and study it and understand it. But I thought today it'd be a really good idea to give us a concrete example. What does this look like in our lives? And how do we stick to it? Because it's all well and good to come to meditation and to pause and to really begin to look and seek this purpose. And then we get up and we get busy again. And we get distracted. And we forget. So how can we set a course where our purpose becomes the thing that's always guiding us? Each step, each action, each thought, each part of our day. And so I thought the most logical and simple way to understand the idea of purpose is the GPS on your car. We all have these GPS systems, and we have these voices that tell us which way to turn and where to go and how to navigate possible barriers or slowdowns. And oftentimes, I know I'm guilty of it as well, that voice will tell you what to do, and you find the button and you just turn the voice off because you think you've got this. And you can watch the road and watch the GPS all at the same time. Because that voice gets a little nagging at times, a little bit annoying. But underneath the voice and the nagging and the annoyance, all it's trying to do is keep you on course. Into that GPS, you put a location. You put a destination that you're trying to get to. And usually we want the most efficient, and we definitely want the most safe way of arriving. And all that voice is trying to do is tell us when we've made a wrong turn, or when there's something up ahead that we really need to be aware of and slow down, or maybe turn and go an alternative way. Because at the end of the day, that voice is trying to keep us on course to the destination that we said was important. So think about your purpose in life as that destination. And maybe for some of us, we still kind of struggle with, okay, what is the purpose? What's my contribution to this world? When I wake up each day, what am I supposed to do? I know my job. I know my roles in my home. I know my responsibilities as a good citizen, but what's my purpose? What am I meant to contribute to this world? And so for those who it's becoming clearer and clearer, think of typing that purpose into a GPS system. You just type it in. You know what it is that you are meant to do and be. And for those that are still a little unclear, we're going to keep exploring this concept in the coming days, but for those of you that might still be a little unclear, just imagine once it's settled in and you know it in your mind and your heart, you would type it into that GPS as well. So you don't have to know it tonight to understand the metaphor that will help us along this way. So we all imagine that we've typed into this GPS system, this place that we know that we're meant to be, this path that we know that we're meant to follow, this contribution that is ours to make to this world that no one else can make. And so maybe we kind of solidify that in meditation. We sit and we ask and we seek, and it becomes clearer and clearer, and then we get up. So there comes the metaphor if we start to drive the car. We've got two choices. We can keep that voice on, guiding us along the way, or we can turn it off and think that we've got this under control. And so I would encourage us in this time that we're going to spend together just across these few minutes, let's imagine that we keep the voice on. In the voice of the GPS world, it's usually some form of Siri. And so just imagine that you've kept this voice on. And here we go. We wake up in the morning and we go through our normal morning routine. And then there's that voice that says, oh, okay, you need to slow down. You're rushing. You haven't spoken to your kids yet this morning. You haven't said good morning to your partner. You haven't paused and looked out in nature. You haven't taken some deep breaths. All those little warnings along the way reminding us of what's important. And so we hear that voice, and it either makes us want to turn it off or it makes us listen. And so we look over at our kids and we spend a little more time being present instead of being rushed. We look our partner, our spouse in the eyes, and we're not distracted by other things around us. We go outside and we just take in the nature. Or we pause in the kitchen before we pack our things to go and we take some deep breaths. And then the day continues. And we head to work. And on our way, or maybe not work, whatever your thing is, your volunteer work, your whatever it is you do, whatever your rhythm of your day looks like, we head out. And there are people in traffic that are not very kind or very considerate and maybe not even very safe. And so we have some choices. How do we respond to them? And then there's this little GPS voice that says, loosen your grip on the steering wheel, take some deep breaths, and realize that the way they're acting is not about you. It's not yours to respond to. It's not yours to worry about. Keep your eyes straight ahead, breathe deeply, and drive. And again, that trigger goes off and we can either silence the voice or we can remember, I've got a purpose today. I am meant to make a contribution to this world. And I'm going to loosen my grip on the steering wheel that got a little tight, and I'm going to breathe in deeply. And just let these seemingly inconsiderate drivers just go. It's not about me. And so the day continues. And we go through all these interactions throughout the day, at work, at school, at the coffee shop, at the grocery store, at the volunteer place, wherever those places are that you go. And you interact with human beings. And as you begin to interact with these human beings, this GPS system is reminding us of our purpose, our destination, our path. And as we interact with these humans, we have two choices. And the GPS will kind of nudge us. That little voice will come on and say, remember, don't look through them. Look at them. Give them your attention. Give them your presence. Let the tone of how you speak to them be a reflection of what's in your heart. Let the compassion that you extend be the same compassion that you hope comes back to you. And so that GPS voice goes off, and again, you've got two choices. You press the button to silence it, or you listen and take a deep breath, and then you look in the eyes of the person that you're interacting with as they hand you the coffee, or as they sit across from you in the meeting, or whatever the roles are that they play, and you give them your presence. You give them your attention. You focus on the here and the now and whatever's happening. And the day continues. You see, we go through these days again and again, and we have these habits and patterns, and we are busy, rushing people. But as we sit with this idea of having purpose, and as we metaphorically put it into our GPS system, we're kind of holding ourselves accountable. I know that I've got a contribution to make to the world. I'm not going to let the morning traffic distract me from that. I know that I have a purpose in humanity. I'm not going to let the busyness of my morning schedule at home distract me from that. I know that in wherever I need to go today, my workplace, my organizations, my errands, I know that there are going to be human beings that need to feel my compassion, my peace, my sense of well-being, because maybe they don't feel it within themselves. And I'm not going to let anything else around me distract me from that. So our purpose is not just this big idea of this big social impact that we want to make. Y'all, our purpose happens moment by moment by moment. And we have this course that we set for ourselves. And we ask the GPS to guide us. We sit in meditation. We ask for the guidance and the clarity. And then we get up. And we can either hear that voice reminding us as encouragement, or we can hear it as an annoyance. We all have a purpose. And I think that as we head toward whatever this bigger purpose is that we each have, our contribution, the thing that we can do for this world that really no one else can, it's going to be in the little moments that those big moments come to life. It's how we look at the people in our workplace, how we give them our presence. It's how we respond when the traffic of life is really inconvenient. It's how we speak in the mornings when we feel rushed, like there's just so many things to do. But we've got this beautiful family or these beautiful people around us. It's in the moments when the strangers walk across our path to check out our groceries or hand us coffee. What do they see? in the way that we look at them, in the way that we speak to them? What do they feel from our presence? Our purpose is happening moment by moment by moment. And so even if some of us are still in the unknown stage of knowing that bigger idea, that bigger contribution, we all have the present moment to start with. And so I want us just to pause and just think about that voice on your GPS. And if you're the one that just turns it off, or if you're the one that lets it guide you. And then just imagine, how can the voice of your meditation practice, the things that you sit with when it's just you, how can that voice guide you once you get up and life gets busy and traffic gets thick and people are rushing and disappointment comes? Let's sit with our purpose for this moment and begin to cultivate a commitment moment by moment by moment. So as we settle here for the next couple of moments of quiet, let's just take a couple deep breaths to settle us in. Just a slow inhale and a deep exhale. A slow inhale and a deep exhale. And that voice on your GPS in your car is going to talk about right turns and left turns and stoplights. What does the voice of your meditation practice sound like? Is it reminding you to stop rushing? Is it going to be a voice that talks about the compassion in your tone? Is it going to be a reminder to assert yourself and advocate for what you know is right? There's so many ways that this little GPS voice can come. What will it sound like for you? And as you continue to breathe, slow, deep, steady breaths, just think to yourself, how different could life look if I were guided by my purpose moment by moment by moment? If there was my own version of Siri calling out from deep in my spirit, hey, don't forget to look him in the eye and be present. And then, hey, don't forget to slow down, put your phone down. Just be with them in the moment. Or, hey, don't forget, when they respond unkindly, you come back with compassion and kindness and equanimity. And hey, don't forget to take deep breaths before you respond. That's the way the GPS of this path of purpose works. It's not about these big, grand gestures of all the doing that we think comes along with this contribution and this purpose. It really starts in the small moments, the quiet moments, those gentle pricks of our spirit reminding us that our meditation practice can go with us in the traffic and in the meetings and in the grocery store where people are rushing. We can bring a sense of something else. We just got to listen to that little GPS voice reminding us, you're on a path. And if you'll listen to me, I'll help to keep you on that path. So as we prepare to close our time, just notice tomorrow where those small moments come. It's not going to be every second of the day, but just pause and notice when they happen. Notice how you feel, and then notice how you feel after the moment from how you responded and how you stayed on course or came back on course, with each moment contributing to the larger purpose, the larger contribution that you have to make to this world. But let's just start moment by moment by moment. Namaste.